The idea of blasphemy, disinformation, and misinformation, and especially defamation against a public official, all play key roles of freedom of speech, which is why the First Amendment protects these properties. So, with blasphemy, is when someone challenges a religion or a point of view or a belief. Uh, if you restrict blasphemy, you restrict the right of belief or in other religions. If um, if blasphemy is jeopardized, the the foregrounds of other religions in America, the government does not specifically favor one religion over the other. So if you compromise the idea of blasphemy, you compromise the idea of the government favoring one religion over the other, which meaning sort of similar how Israel and Pakistan, they sort of their governments sort of favor a specific religion, one specific religion, and that's what America is really trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid that, like, oh, you must believe in this specific only religion, not these other religions. So in America, we're trying to implement everyone's beliefs and everyone's sort of ideas into one, even though um, people can critique other religions. They um, America can't really step in and say, "Hey, you know, saying bad things about a religion is wrong," because it shows favoritism towards a specific religion, and that's what the government's really trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid the idea of favoritism towards a specific religion. So disinformation and misinformation does not have any legal meaning and is mostly subjective, whether or not it's uh, believed or it's considered fake news. I put that in air quotes, fake news. Um, defi- defi- Disinformation and misinformation, because of its main reason of for people having the right to interpret things, whether or not they take the disinformation and misinformation seriously or not. In a way, it's sort of how people take specific ideas of misinformation and disinformation. So, for example, CNN or Fox News would be known to fabricate things and sort of twist the narrative on certain aspects of specific news ideas. For example, you know, CNN would twist and cut sort of parts from, let's just say, Trump's interview about tariffs, and cut sort of certain parts of it that would seem sort of in a negative sense, but Fox News would probably show that in a more positive sense, um, probably showing more context to the quote that CNN showed, um, and sort of vice versa with, you know, Joe Biden in a way, where Fox News would cut to a sort of part of the speech where Joe Biden, uh, says something, that looks bad, and then CNN shows the interview where they put that sort of one clip into more context by showing the entire thing. So there's a lot of disinformation, misinformation spread, especially nowadays, in the age of social media, that people tend to look at certain short clips and uh, take that information and do what they want to do with it without really knowing the entire story or the entire idea of what that information what the full information is providing. So that's where disinformation and misinformation sort of leads to. But the reason why that it's protected um, is because, again, it gives us the right to interpret. It gives us the right to make assumptions. It sort of gives us the right to, again, air grievances and give our opinions about public officials. So this leads into the next point. So the government protects the idea of this uh, in of defamation against public officials and figures because without this right, we cannot criticize our government leaders and other government officials. Without this right to criticize, then what is the point of a free country? Uh, when it is legal, when it is illegal uh, or frowned upon to criticize a government leader, uh, a government leader. So, what would be the point of all this freedom talk? You know, you have the right to vote, you have the right to air grievances, all this other stuff. What's the point of all that if you can't critique a public official? If you can't at least give your own opinion about a public official? What's the point of that? So, again, this is something that the First Amendment protects, and it's probably a fundamental um, aspect of right to air grievances. It probably is the main aspect. It is the main aspect for crying out loud, which is the right you know to criticize public officials and figures, which is giving your take, giving your ideas, um, and giving your um, sort of grievances on what a certain public official does or a public figure does, and saying like, oh, what Donald Trump is doing with these tariffs, they're not good. They're not smart. They're not this. They're not that. We have that right because of this, because of the right to air grievances. Without with the gut. Okay, let's play pretend a little bit. Let's play pretend in a world where the government gives you a fine or arrests you for saying bad things about the president or saying bad things this about this government, then we're not technically free. There's no freedom of speech in that type of world. There's no point to it. It's completely defeated if you know the government um, decides not to protect this idea of defamation against public officials and figures. Does it is it something that public officials and figures sort of deal with, that people hate them or people get on them on the littlest of things? Yeah, it probably hurts their feelings. Of course, there's the moral human side of this, but at the same time, they signed up to be public officials. They signed up to be public figures, so they're getting what they're asking for in a way. So they can't sort of complain because I mean it is what it is. I mean you decided to become a public official, and you just you can't really be upset with people critiquing you. I mean that comes with the territory, it comes with the job. It's just what it is um, at this point. But again, the reason why the government protects the idea of defamation against public officials and figures is strictly because we have the right to air grievances. If we don't have the right to air grievances, then what is the point of the First Amendment? What is the point of freedom of speech? There's no point to it if the government doesn't protect this idea. It's a fundamental aspect. So, in conclusion, blasphemy is the fear of government interference with religion, defamation, uh, defamation and misinformation, and defamation against public officials gives us the right to make assumptions and give us the right to air grievances and give our own opinions on the ideas that we have. So it's basically freedom for for all in a way to give our takes, to give our ideas, to critique the higher ups and sort of give us, the people, a voice, an idea, a voice that can speak up to the higher ups and say, hey, this ain't right. You're not doing the right job. You're not um, speaking our language. You're not really doing the job that we elected you for. So, in a way, that's the beauty of all this. It gives us the fundamental right to air grievances. That is the fundamental ideas of these properties.